Welcome back to Chapter's Great Character. Who's ready to read some books today? I know I am. My name is Legend Moore, and I'll be reading Chapter 23 of A Whale of the Wild. Enjoy the video!
Chapter 23 Hunger. Vega leads us away from the gathering place. Aquila slips into my usual spot in her swim shadow. Hey! I am about to nudge her away, so we can travel like we did before. Me in Vega's shadow, and Altair with Aquila. But when I come close, I see the swollen bump on her body, where she was struck by something huge and heavy, and another lump farther down her back. A bruise shows on the white part of her belly. Hey, what? Aquila snaps, already mad at me, even though I haven't done anything wrong yet. Hey Altair, I say, let's catch an octopus. Oh, Altair looks to his mother and then back at me. They are very tricky to catch, I add, and dangerous. Ooh. Altair comes to my side and immediately starts blasting his little click stream in all directions. You're going to be a great octopus finder, I tell him. I launch into my best octopus story, hoping that I have chosen the right thing, the thing that helps. Aquila sighs, sounding more tired than mad now. I keep close, Vega says. We travel slowly and rest often. I want to find the salmon now. I want to fly through the water at top speed and be there already. But my scar does not feel as great as it looks. Every downward push with my flukes makes my newly mended skin ache. And it's harder to swim with no body bigger pulling me down, pulling me along in their shadow. I sing to Altair because I need the courage. I need the encouragement myself. He chimes in with his little chirp, side by side, then by fluke. Side by side, fin, fluke. Vega calls out sea marks as we go past them, but I don't recognize a single one. Old pillars have tumbled, tangles of broken trees drift by. Giant kelp float over deep water, ripped from their holdfasts. Huge drifts of mud cover places that were rocky before. Sandy shorelines are scrapped down to bare rock. Ravens and eagles and bears, the great eaters of dead things, are thick on the shore. Strangest of all, the water is quiet. A small wind boat crosses well in front of us. A few of the dragonfly boats creep along. Nothing else is moving. Vega and Aquila call out their names as we travel and listen for answers. At first, only echoes come back. As the morning wears on, we hear a pair of dolphins and the confused grunts and huffs of seals searching for their uprooted kelp forests. We stop at a shallow place to rest. Vega and Aquila put their heads together and talk. For once, Aquila doesn't get bossy, and Vega doesn't swim off in a temper. Together they untangle our way. I miss Uncle Wiggle more than ever. I try to be steadfast like him, a calm place in a moving sea, but I don't feel steady or strong. I can barely stay awake. Altair is weary too. He pokes at Aquila's milk spots, but nothing comes out. Hungry, he whines. I hustle him away from Aquila and rock him between my flippers. He's so exhausted, it only takes a moment for him to fall asleep. I doze beside him. When I wake, the sun is going down and I hear the wayfinders arguing. I can't, Aquila whimpers like a youngling. I'm not strong enough. You are, Vega says. She makes her voice firmer and deeper, like Great Mother. We have come so far already. We are not even halfway, Aquila wails, not comforted at all. And soon the pull will be against us. They can't give up. I won't let them. I wake Altair and tuck him into my swim shadow. My scar aches, but I pretend that it doesn't. I am ready, I announce. I give Altair a nudge. Ready, he echoes. See, Vega says proudly. They are ready. We travel on in the growing darkness, even more slowly than before. When the push turns to pull, we find a quiet cove to rest in. The moon is growing rounder and brighter each night. I look on it like a promise. There is food somewhere, and my sister will lead us to it. Vega tells me to sleep. So of course I pretended to. She checks each one of us for the signs of hunger, sickness. So far, we are only thin, but not wrong-shaped. Vega calls out her name to the empty sea. We both lift our chins to collect the faintest and the most faraway sounds, listening for our family to call back. They don't. But even so, I am proud of my sister, Wayfinder, of the mightiest kinship in the sea. I swim to her side and nudge her gently. Rest, I say. Rest and let me watch. To my surprise, she agrees and then falls into line with Aquila and Altair. Rising and breathing as one, I watch over my family as the moon rises big and orange. I guard them as it fades to yellow and then white. When the pull gives way to push, I wake them. We swim along into the long, narrow channels of the Wormwood Reach. Many humans live here, and they are loud. But today it's spooky and quiet. The places where boats nest along the shore are in shambles. One boat stacked up on another or tuned upside down. Land boats are off their paths, not darting back and forth, but lying empty on their backs or sides. Usually we go quickly past the noisy piles of towering gray and black rectangles with so many of the humans live. Now the big rectangles are tilted against each other, their skins stripped away so that you can see the rising sun through their bones. Smoke drifts up and makes a smudge across the sky. We make our way more slowly now. I start to recognize things. The smaller bench, and then the hawks, and then larger one with the high bridge. Eagles and hawks soar low over the water, grabbers at ready, hunting. Aquila stops swimming altogether and lets the push carry her. When we come to a side channel, we clickstream to look for salmon. Vega calls her name. We rest and wait for an answer. No salmon. No answer. Aquila sighs and says nothing, but she gives Vega a silent nudge of encouragement, and Vega takes the lead again. Altair is so sleepy, he is zigzagging. I guide him to the middle between me and Aquila, so he doesn't go astray. Seals swim past. Even otters are traveling more quickly than us. I hear the chitter and squeak of a porpoise. When he comes into view, his sleek gray sides are a web of nicks and cuts. But he's clickstreaming for food, trying his best, just like us. Good luck, tiny whale, I say to him as he goes by. We let the push carry us past one island and then another. Almost there, Aquila says. Can't stop now. She gives Vega another nudge, and we keep going. At last, the mother of rivers appears, all crowned in snow on the horizon. There should be a prairie of eelgrass there on soft muddy bottom where the river meets the sea. But the grass is gone. Only a few shreds of it drift and flicker in the water. The mud is scraped away, leaving barren, pebbly stretch of empty ground. There is a swarm of something, right where the river should be. Eagles circle above it. A bull sea lion and the mothers of his family swim past us. All muscle and fang. Seals on the move too. Salmon eaters, all of them. Something is going on there. Vega sees it too. She doesn't stop to catch her breath. She doesn't wait for Aquila. I'm giving you a ride, Altair, Vega says. She swoops under him and lifts him up. She speeds toward the mouth of the river. Are they there? Aquila says. Is it really true? I think it's them, I shout. Let's go. We dash along side by side, all our tiredness forgotten, past the last of the islands, and yes, there they are, Chinooks, kings of all salmon, gathered in a swirling moon like giant herrings. Vega darts into the swarm, Aquila at her side. She catches one and brings it to me to share, but I have already caught mine, a big one. I gulp down the big fish, feeling the burst of oil in my mouth, the satisfying crunch of the bone, the delicious crackle of skin. This is the food that feels right in my belly, the food I was born to eat. I've never seen so many salmon in one spot. They are fat and heavy. I gorge myself, eating 10 and 20 more. Vega and Aquila do the same. We feed Altair. I grow dizzy from the feeling of being full. I knew Vega could do it, and I was right. She is the queen of wayfinders. We will never be hungry again.